What's up, guys? Nova Joe back again, and today what I wanted to talk about was the difference between the PlayStation 4 version and the PlayStation 5 version of Earth Defense Force 6. For those who are wondering, I know some of you out there are wondering, has D3 kind of slacked off on the PlayStation 4 version since they decided to come out with the PlayStation 5 version? And I just want to assure you all that there is no bad version of this game. I have put, oh goodness, 270 hours into the PlayStation 4 version, and I can attest that it is an excellent version. They have not cut any corners. They have put a lot of hard work into making sure that it was optimized for the PlayStation 4, and it is a solid entry into the EDF franchise on the PlayStation 4. It's not a throwaway like we have seen with other titles in other series in the past. D3, Sandlot, and they've never been a studio that has ever dialed in an EDF game that they have produced. They have always done their best to make sure that it was optimized. And I just want to assure you all that the EDF 6 title for PlayStation 4 is solid. It is solid, and it plays excellent. So, here's what I want to let you guys know, just to get this out of the way first. EDF 6 on the PlayStation 4 runs at about 30 frames a second. Now, let me back up here. I'm talking about playing EDF 6 on a PlayStation 4, PlayStation 4 Pro. And in my situation, I've been playing on the Pro. So what I want to say to you is that it plays at 1080p at about 30 frames a second, and it plays great. Now, at certain instances where there's a lot of chaos and things going on the screen, it does dip just like previous titles do. Even with the PS4 Pro, it does dip, but it's not bad. It's your little Matrix effect, bullet time, that we've all grown to be used to, and it does not happen often. It only happens on occasion, and it isn't bad. And the 30 frames per second is not hard on the eyes. It doesn't bother me. And actually, it might even be a little bit higher than 30 frames per second. Very possible. So, that brings us to the PlayStation 5 version of EDF 6. And I want to tell you that it is a significant bump. I'll just show you the settings so you guys can see what I'm talking about here. Alright guys, here in the options menu, those of you who plan on getting the PlayStation 5 version of the game are going to notice there's another option at the very bottom. And granted, this is the Japanese version, but I will translate it for you. This option is not in the PlayStation 4 version, not even in the PlayStation 4 Pro version. There is no quality and performance mode on the Pro version. It's just, in the Pro version, it's 1080p, about 30 frames, maybe 45 frames a second. That's the only option you get. But in the PlayStation 5 version, you get three options. The first one here says Full HD Performance, and what that means is you get a 1080p image at pretty much 60 frames a second. And I can assure you folks that at this setting, there is no drops in frames. You get a 1080p image and 60 frames a second, no drops. The drops that you would experience in the PlayStation 4 version, they're non-existent. They're not here at all. The next option that you get is 4K performance, and what this is this is a 4K image that is shooting to be higher than 30 frames a second. And while I don't believe it hits 60, I can tell you that it is much higher than 30, and it is very solid. And you get all the bells and whistles, from what I can tell, graphically, that you would get with like the 1080p, or close to all the bells and whistles that you would get with the 1080p image, but not with that solid 60 frames a second. You get a 4K image that I believe has a fluctuating frame rate, but you can tell with your eyes. That's the best way of saying it. I don't have the equipment that would tell me the frames, but I can tell you that my eyes pick up on the fact that this is much better than 30 frames a second. So I'm going to say that this is probably like maybe a 4K uncapped, meaning that it will bounce around some, but it's mainly going to be like probably in the 40s, maybe 45 frames a second. And I don't have any solid evidence on that. I'm going by what my eyes pick up. I can tell you that I can tell the difference between 30 frames and 60. I can also tell the difference between 30 frames and between 40 and 50 frames. And I can tell you that the second one, which, like I said, is called 4K Performance, you're getting 4K image with some, if not most, of the bells and whistles graphically that you would get with just the 1080p. But you're also getting around, I would say, 45 frames, 50 frames a second. You're not getting a solid 60. Now, the third option, first off, I do not recommend this one. This is 4K quality. Now, some of you might like this. I do not. This is basically like a 4K image, which looks like a bunch of the graphical bells and whistles. It's hard to describe this. And I will show you an image so you guys can see it. I will show you an actual image of all four of these settings so you can see the graphical difference. But this is called 4K quality. And what they've done with this one is they say they've turned on all the bells and whistles for this. So this is 4K, all the bells and whistles at about 30 frames a second. And I can tell you that this is hard on my eyes. It might not be hard on your all's eyes. But I am getting older. I'm in my 40s, as I've stated before, and my eyes are not what they used to be, so this one is the one that I steer clear of. So it's 4K, all the bells and whistles turned on, but it doesn't look like all the bells and whistles are turned on. That's the best way I can say it. I honestly feel like the middle one here, 4K Performance, is the best one. I feel that 4K Performance actually looks, honestly, I believe it looks better than the full HD 1080p, and I believe it looks better than the 4K quality. I believe that it gives you the best of both worlds, the 4K image and the best of the bells and whistles, because this last one here, 4K quality, it honestly, first off, I don't think it looks as good. I don't think that the image is as good as it is on 4K Performance. And also the frame rate is so bad that it really kind of messes with my eyes. It might not with those of you in your 20s and 30s, but it messes with my eyes in my 40s. So there you go. You got full HD performance, 4K performance, which is my personal choice, and 4K quality, which is they're going for the best image that they can, but the frame rate really takes a dive. So, all right, now I'm going to show you each one of these in action so that you guys can see how things change when you turn each one of these on. Okay, guys, I'm starting out with the 1080p full HD, and while I'm not going to show you the frames, it's kind of hard to do in a video to show you the frames per second. It's without having the software to do that, and it's kind of hard to really show you through a video just how smooth it is. What I can show you are the graphical differences between each one. So we're starting out in full HD, and if you look at this image here, like I said, this is 1080p full HD, and if you look at the image off there in distance, you can see the trees, and to the left of the trees there's kind of some rebar. Doesn't really look like rebar. It kind of looks like just specks of color or something. So this is 1080p. However, when you boost it to the 4K performance, all of a sudden that rebar pops back. I mean, it just clarifies. You can tell what it is. Now, going back to 1080, you can see that the trees kind of have, like, you can see some leaves on them and stuff. But when you go to 4K performance, it looks like what I thought were leaves were kind of more so just blobs of limbs that are now more defined. So back to 1080, what I was thinking were leaves on the trees is really just blobs of just the limbs. They just look like blobs at a distance. But when you go to 4K performance, those limbs become more defined. Just like looking back at the rebar again, in 1080, you can't really tell that it's rebar. But as soon as you hit 4K performance, that rebar stands out. You can tell what that is you're looking at. Now, we're going to go from 4K performance to 4K quality. So what you're seeing right now is 4K performance. Here is 4K quality. All right, you see that? The rebar actually gets even thinner. So here's the rebar in 4K performance. There's the rebar in 4K quality. I actually think that looks worse. It's like it gets even thinner. And if you look at the trees, where it goes from being more defined, it goes to being super defined and thin to where it looks like it doesn't look as good. I think 4K performance looks better. So once again, look at the rebar. Let's start with the rebar. This is full HD, 4K performance, 4K quality, 1080p, 4K performance, 4K quality. Now look at the trees again. 1080p looks like a bunch of leaves on it, when in fact it's actually just blobs that are actually these are blobs that are supposed to be limbs. 4K performance, 4K quality. Okay? Full HD, 4K performance, 4K quality. So you can see the difference there. Now, let's see if I can find another spot. Okay, the shadowing. If you can see, like, look at the ground, look at the foliage. Okay, you see the rebar, where the rebar was. Now, look down at the ground. You can look at the foliage there on the ground. This is 1080p. You can tell it's supposed to be foliage, and at the same time, you can tell that, you can tell it's supposed to be foliage, basically. Let's go up to 4K performance. There's a lot more of it, and it's more defined. Let's go to 4K quality. It almost disappears. 4K performance, 4K quality. 4K performance, 4K quality. 1080p, 4K performance, 4K quality. 1080p, 4K performance, 4K quality. I feel like right here at 4K quality, they take a lot away. I feel like they do that because they're trying to, they tell you this is quality mode, but I would almost think this was quality mode, because quality is supposed to be based on the image. And in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, you guys are welcome to have your own opinions on this and what you think in regards to what looks best for you all, but this is just my opinion. 4K quality seems to take away a lot of the detail in something. It seems to remove a whole lot of the content of something. So, and so just talk about the foliage on the ground. 1080p looks like it has some, but it's blurry. 4K performance looks like it has a lot more and it's defined. 4K quality looks like it just flat out takes a bunch of it away and thins out what's there and makes it look a lot worse. So, alright guys, that is this is full HD, 4K performance, and 4K quality. And so in my opinion, out of these three settings, 4K performance is the one I stick with, and this is the one I like. It has, in my opinion, the best graphical fidelity, and in my opinion, it has a high enough frame rate that older guys like me, middle-aged guys like me, can play it, enjoy the graphical fidelity, but at the same time have that higher frame rate so it's not a strain on your eyes. So alright guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please give it a like. Please comment down below. And if you'd like to help me out on Patreon, please go to patreon.com/EDF Central. Link in the description below. I do appreciate any support you offer to the channel. And so, guys, tell me what you think after seeing these three images. Which one do you think looks best in your opinion? Full HD, 4K performance, or 4K quality? For me, like I said, I'm going with 4K performance, and that's where I'm going to stay. So, alright guys, hope you've enjoyed this video. And as always, take care, God bless, and keep on gaming.